sense for the Avs. I've taken a dive into the roster and what they can do and who I want to have on this team moving forward. Like, the cap's going to be $95.5 million. We know that it's moving up, but there are some big holes. You don't know what's going to happen at second center. You don't know what's going to happen with your fifth and sixth defenseman. You have pending free agents all over the place, the trade that you made. And this is one that, while you can applaud GMs for making big time moves when your team is directly in the middle of a cup window. Hey, they tried. They went out there, they did it, but it failed. If it fails, you have to call it on its head. The Brock Nelson trade was an abject failure. The fact that he doesn't show up in that series, scoring big time goals, feeling like he had a physical presence, although he was part of the line, the 5-on-5 line of him, Nichushkin, and Landeskog was far and away your best shot creation and shot suppression line in that first round series. It didn't feel like he had the impact that a first rounder and your best prospect in Cal Ritchie should have fetched. Now, there was also a conditional third rounder that would have been sent to New York, but the Avs would have had won the cup, and Nelson had to play like 50 or 75% of the games or something like that. So that doesn't go. It just turns into Ritchie in a first.
We were so excited, all of us, when Brock Nelson was signed at the deadline.
He was a fit.
And he was really, really good in terms of his presence, his veteran leadership. You just felt like you answered a question that you hadn't answered in quite some time about where you were going to find your production on the second line. So what happened in the playoff series? Why did Brock Nelson become a bit of a face of a milk carton?
I don't know. Maybe it was you looked at the player. He's really solid two ways, but maybe thinking that he's a solid two-way player is different than him being a physical presence at 6'4" in the middle.
Was he a career Islander?
Career Islander.
Is that part of the problem?
Maybe.
Just irrelevance, not a lot of significant moments, not a lot of times where every single thing that you do is going to be scrutinized.
Always
and really
around
matter.
The playoffs, but like never contending. Like never even a thought to get out of the first round. And that could have been part of it. Maybe there was, I've been in New York my entire career, and now I'm in my early 30s, right? He's 33 years old. And I get traded away from a place that I've known that I'm a little disgruntled with because he turned down like a $7 million offer from them during the season. And now he's disgruntled because he gets moved on, much like the Rantanen trade, although the tier of player is drastically different. But maybe he's disgruntled. He's not as happy. It didn't look like he was playing with much joy during the playoffs.
Brock Nelson, a top 50 player in the NHL.
Yeah. I'll give him top 50.
Was he a second liner for the U.S. national team in the Four Nations?
I think he was their second line center.
It's 2C.
Maybe 3C. But I think he was their 2C. Yeah, top 50 player. He's a good hockey player, and he's a good fit for the team. But it feels like
odds of him coming back are less than 20%.
Yeah.
Less than 10%?
The chatter around the league is if he's going anywhere, he's going to Minnesota. Because the Wild now have a bunch of cap space because the Parise and Suter contracts, the buyouts are gone.
Is he a War Road guy?
He's a War Road guy.
Yeah, War Road, Minnesota.
And something with these Minnesota guys, like they always want to go home and play for the Wild, even though like those guys grew up without a hockey team there. Because like the North Stars had already moved to Dallas. There wasn't a team until.
But you think about Brock Nelson's your age. The Wild have been when you were a middle schooler. The Wild were a franchise, correct?
Yeah, I think they came in. When did they come in? 2002.
It's been 20.
2000. They came in 2000.
20.
All right, so I suppose Minnesota's there.
Yeah, he was an 8-year-old.
The Minnesota guys like always want to go home for some reason. I don't get it because the franchise is relevant.
It's a hockey thing, man. They just look at it as it's hockey city, hockey state. It's a hockey state of mind.
Again, like Parise and Suter did it, and they did nothing.
You go get your Caribou coffee every morning, and they serve it in a mug that says "The Bold North." It's a hockey state of mind. I lived there for 2 years. I'm like, I love this game, but my goodness, do you quit reminding me?
Cool it.
I get it, man. I'm coaching the wrong sport in this damn state.
there's a very good chance that he leaves and goes to Minnesota. Now, the trade will always be, it's always going to be a failure because you didn't get past the first round and you gave up a first and your top prospect. Who knows what that prospect's going to turn into? Everyone's talking about how Cal Ritchie is going to be like the next big thing. We also talked about that way, not as much, but like Barron and Hellison and moving on from all these young players back in 2002 or 2022 rather, when the Avs won a cup. And
who's the other one in the last 2 years? Russian. We were really excited about his arrival.
Oh, his dad Kovalenko.
Yes. He's gone.
He's in San Jose, but he's an RFA. I think he's a free agent in San Jose, and he wasn't happy with his time with the Sharks.
I was thinking about RFA. I'm like,
but he wasn't
Russian
like a high draft
Federation
pick. He was like a
administrator,
restricted free agent.
I know.
He was like a 6th round draft pick, like solid player, but like bottom 6 player. Not a guy who you would expect to step in and be your 2C of the future that Ritchie might be.
Do the Avs have anything in the pipeline that even remotely excites you?
No, they have one guy. They have 2 guys.
Who are they?
Goaltender Ilya Nabokov, who you don't need right now, but he's going to come over to the U.S. this year. And he's likely going to be like the main guy for the Eagles in the AHL. And then when Scott Wedgwood gets to free agency after next season, Nabokov then slots in as your backup. Or Blackwood plays out the remaining 3 years, I believe, that would be on his contract. And then hopefully at that time, like a 28-year-old, 27-year-old Ilya Nabokov is ready to step in as your starter. So the pipeline for the goalies is awesome. Great.
Which is the first time you can say
kind of the first time ever.
Well, yeah.
Ever. Going back to 96 when they move over, like name the last time they had this deep of a goaltending pipeline.
Who is P.W.'s best number 2 netminder?
David Abisher.
Okay. So you didn't really have
Craig Billington you could throw in there, but like David Abisher was the best guy, and then Mark Denis was coming up, and then he got swiped by Columbus in the expansion draft in 2000. This is the best goaltending pipeline the Avs have ever had. The only other player that is worth thinking about is the defenseman in Russia, Mikhail Gulyayev. He will not be coming over this year, and that hurts because you could use him this year. He's still under contract in Russia.
Can I buy a consonant with old Gulyayev?
Mikhail Gulyayev. Gulyayev.
You were so excited. You were excited to say that.
Dude, he is a hell of a player. Hell of a skater.
Is he a big man?
He's slightly larger than Malinsky. He's slightly larger than Malinsky, slightly smaller than Makar, but he skates like the wind. I think he makes Sam Girard expendable. And that's where I get to, this is how Chris MacFarland can make the Avs better this offseason. You have to make some really tough decisions on players that you like. Sam Girard has to be traded. And it's not because you don't like him, it's because you need the cap space. Plain and simple. And Sam was good this year. He was good in the postseason, even though the puck goes off his skate. He was good. You need to find a way to get a little bit more grit, a little bit more sandpaper. You either trade Girard or you trade Manson. And now Josh Manson was terrible during the regular season. Awful. And he was also injured. He's getting older, but he's on the final year of his contract, which means if he falls off the cliff, you don't have to worry about him being on the roster anymore. Girard is younger. He is more cap controllable. There are teams around the league that would view Girard as an upgrade because they don't have a puck-moving defenseman. Now the Avs have plenty of them, which means you can move on from that glut of talent if you want to create a little bit of cap space. I would trade Girard before I would trade Manson. Now, Manson being terrible in the regular season, he was amazing in the postseason. That's the reason why I hang on to him. He is a postseason performer. I would move on from Girard. I would try and find a way because, again, you are in a cap crunch right now, and you still need to sign a big-time second center for good money. I would also find a way to trade Ross Colton in his $4 million contract that has 2 more years remaining. Could Pittsburgh be enticed to get Ross Colton on Sidney Crosby's wing for a second-round draft pick? I don't need players back. I need cap space, and then go utilize that in free agency. I would move on from Colton because of a $4 million cap hit. I don't think you can trade the Miles Wood contract.
What is Gabe Landeskog going to command salary-wise?
He's signed $7 million for the next 5 years.
5 years?
Yep. Landy is under contract.
Is Landy good?
I think he's good. What did the postseason tell you?
Sample size enough for you to...
Sample size was enough to tell me that he should have played in games 1 and game 2. And if he plays in game 1 and game 2, what you see throughout the rest of the series means the Avs win the series. It was an egregious lineup mistake. Now, I asked the question of MacFarland and Sakic in their postseason presser.
Raj, did you not lose games 3 through 7?
Yes, you
3-2, a 5-game series. You lost 3-2.
But what I'm saying is that Landeskog got better throughout the series. So if you move that timeline up, who knows what? Like him getting better in games 3 and game 4 when you lose in overtime, right? Maybe it's a better version of Landy, and he impacts that game.
Now that cooler heads have prevailed, and a lot of post-mortem has already transpired over the last 3 weeks. Do you have any idea what went into that decision?
Well, I asked MacFarland Sakic, and they said it was like a health and preparedness decision.
When to clear him?
It was not we're waiting to make sure
momentum, that it had nothing to do with the strategy of
the energy. No, it was,
which is totally the right thing.
They went it was health, and it was making sure that he was okay to play, and the answer from them was Landy was on board with it. It doesn't mean he liked it. It doesn't mean it was Landeskog's decision to go, hey, I'm not ready to play in these games, because there were reports, mainly from Dater, that he wanted to play in games 1 and game 2. Now, if he's on board with it, that could mean that, a disgruntled Gabe was like, all right, I get it. You guys you're doing what's best for me as the player to ensure not only that you get a run out of me in the postseason right now, but you also get the remainder of my contract, which again, Gabe Landeskog is signed through, the next 3 years. He's going to year 5 of an 8-year extension. He's signed until age 35. He's back. I still think it was a mistake. Now, you move on from Girard. You find a way to move Colton. Now you've got a few second-round draft picks. That's probably what Girard would fetch maybe on draft day. Same thing with Colton. Like, he's a good middle six player. Maybe you could get a second-rounder out of him. Again, I'm not worried about assets coming back. I'm worried about making sure that I can create cap space. I would then use that money to sign 2 players. And we're going to get close. One of them is a big, Russian, mean son of a gun defenseman from LA. His name is Vladislav Gavrikov. And he is my number 1 target. I think he's excellent. He doesn't really provide all that much offensive upside, but he is a guy who can be a top pairing defenseman, but doesn't need to be here in Colorado because of Kale and Devon Taves. I love that player. I would sign him to a 6-year deal. He's 29 years old right now at $6 or $6.5 million on average annual basis, and I would do it tomorrow because I think he continues to drastically alter how you play hockey in the playoffs.
And he is a free agent.
He's a free agent.
Unrestricted?
Unrestricted free agent. And I don't know if LA can hang.
What kind of money is that going to command?
6 by 6.5.
Okay.
That's my thought. And again, I use AFP analytics
he's obviously got to be. Is he a second line defenseman?
He'd be your second pairing defenseman. You put him next to Sam Malinsky, something like that.
So yeah, big dude and a guy
big and
that
small.
can skate.
Yeah, something like that. And then I would use the remaining money because you still need a second centerman. If you can find a way, and this is a pipe dream for me, if you can find a way to get Sam Bennett out of Florida, I take Sam Bennett and I run away. You need to get more rats on this team. You need to get more guys that are willing to take a cross check in the face, even though like his career high is 51 points. I don't care about the points. I don't care about him at all. I don't care that he's a 51-point player. I care about how he played. Watch that dude. If you're watching the Eastern Conference Final in the Panthers, tell me you wouldn't want number 9 on Florida on your team. He fills second line center. Now, could he revert back to what he was in Calgary? Sure, but he was still a rat in Calgary. I want more rats. And Gavrikov and Bennett are rats. And I think you can do it. But you're going to have to part ways with around $10 million in cap space. A question from the 548, can we get Mitch Marner? No, you can't. No shot. No chance.
Would you want him?
No.
Yeah.
No. Amazing player in the regular season. Shrinks when the moment gets big.
Any chance for a Sidney Crosby?
Nah.
Any chance for
maybe at the trade deadline? Like maybe if Pittsburgh's terrible again next year and Sid's like, come on, guys, like what are we doing here? Maybe. Who knows?
any chance for a Brady Tkachuk?
No, he's signed for a long time in Ottawa, I believe. But I mean, I would
Talk about a
kick
rat.
the tires. Talk about a rat, but no, he's the captain in Ottawa. Ottawa would be idiots to get rid of that guy. But I think he's signed long term in Ottawa. That's my answer, man. Trade away Colton, trade away Gerard, not because I don't like the players, but because you need the caps.
7-year contract through 2027.
Yeah, he's not coming. That's my answer. If C-Mac wants to make this thing better, you have to continue to mold your team like the rats that are about to play each other in the Cup final, and that is Dallas and Florida in my mind. You can do it in the offseason, but you have to move around $10 million out the door. And for me, unfortunately, and again, I like the players, it starts with Ross Colton and Sam Girard. That's how it starts.